lightning fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
Kenya, like other countries in the world, is faced with an unprecedented crisis as a result of COVID-19 pandemic.
KenGen is the leading electricity producer in the East African region. Currently, we generate a total of 1,803 megawatts drawn from hydro, geothermal, wind, and thermal. In response to the coronavirus pandemic, we have deployed mechanisms to ensure electricity generation continues uninterrupted during this period of uncertainty. We come to work for you to ensure you have reliable electricity supply even during these hard times.
Phoenix Android TV launch.
A stock in a move fast. Yani watu wananunua unaachwa nini? 21,799. Android TV yenye remote inaongea.
These promotions will be running from the 15th to the 21st of July.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa, maumivu ya mwili na hata huondoa joto jingi mwilini. Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo. Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
Do you need to sanitize or disinfect your hospital, school, factory, property, or community to ensure prevention and spread of COVID-19? Shop and Buy 254 brings you world-class foggers and fogging services right to your doorstep. Fogging disinfects both air and surfaces. This is also effective in disinfecting, prevention, and treatment of diseases and pests in livestock farming. To buy your foggers or get fogging services, call 0722 748 074 or email shopandbuy254@gmail.com. Stay safe. The COVID-19 fight is a collective responsibility. Get an 8-acre prime residential plot with soil merchants in Kisamis along Magadi Road, a few minutes from the vibrant Kiserian town. Electricity and borehole water available at 148,000 Kenya shillings for cash buyers or 195,000 Kenya shillings for installment buyers. Pay 30% deposit and clear the balance in 6 months. Viewing is daily and will be done within the guidelines of COVID-19. SMS plot to 21595 for details. Buy today, build tomorrow.
This is NTV.
Good evening. It's the 12th of July 2020, and as we're about to see, it's not looking good in terms of the infection cases and numbers across the globe. It's now going to 13 million across the world, with the reported deaths at 569,000 at least. In Africa, the number of infection has gone past 583,000 and reported deaths 13,000. And in the United States, where there has been a lot of cases of seeming denial on the severity of the matter, at least 3.3 million infections and 137 people, 137,000, I should say, have been reported dead. We'll be getting to the numbers here at home, which are way past 10,000. And let's first look at the other stories making headlines.
Tonight, COVID-19 numbers are high. Cases of breaking the law are also high.
Some of the perpetrators, high-level state officials and worshippers of the Most High. Concerns about the believers and the non-believers.
Sisi tujaamini kama iko hiyo ugonjwa.
Mpaka nione mtu mwenye ako na corona ndio niamini. Hatuogopi corona juu max, tunavaa max kuchuchunga juu maskari.
Also tonight, 114 private schools have shut down, leaving 40,000 learners in limbo amid state-led confusion on the way forward on schools' resumption.
You know, the CS wakes up today, he says our schools will open in September. He wakes up tomorrow, he says how we'll have 2 face masks. He wakes up tomorrow, he tells us something else. Now he's telling us that we should go and ask for school fees.
And police officer in Embu shoots a man below the belt.
Nikaona sehemu zake sazidi zimeharibiwa sababu zilikuwa zinatoka damu.
The community is angered. Plus, family of woman who was allegedly raped and drugged at Coptic Hospital demands justice.
On Saturday morning when she went to take a shower, she realized that she has been defiled.
Coptic Hospital says it is falling victim to mudslinging.
NTV Tonight with Mark Masai.
And not just with Mark Masai bringing the news, David Agondo is joining me as well in sign language interpretation, backed by a full team. And we're glad you've chosen NTV Weekend Edition for your news update of the day. And we start with the picture in the country in terms of the pandemic. And the number of the number of those who have been confirmed is way past 10,000 patients today. And 379 more people have tested positive, raising the national total to 10,105. Out of the new patients, 376 are Kenyans, while 3 are foreigners. 253 are male and 126 are female. And to a sample of a bit of the county breakdown, you'll see that Nairobi is still way up there in terms of the numbers, and Kiambu has 49 and 38 in Busia. We'll be getting that with Helen Aura's story, which also bears the worries of the Ministry of Health, saying that they have noted a disregard of the COVID-19 measures around the country, and we'll be getting the Mwananchi voice on their opinion about this coronavirus, whether they are really threatened by it or they're just going about life as usual. Speaking about going about life as usual, it's not that easy for education. A number of private schools that have closed permanently due to financial strains has hit 114. This as a National Executive Committee of the Kenya Private Schools Association holds a crisis meeting tomorrow to deliberate on the way forward as thousands of students face imminent displacement when learning resumes. NTV's Seth Olale reports that the government remains adamant that it has no money to bail out private learning institutions whose fortunes have been dealt a blow by the COVID-19 pandemic.
A placement crisis looms for over 40,000 students who have already received closure notices from 114 private schools that have confirmed shutting permanently due to financial strains escalated by COVID-19 pandemic and the resultant measures. The Kenya Private Schools Association, KPSA, says majority of those that have shut down are primary schools at 81, while 33 secondary schools have also closed indefinitely. 26,000 learners from primary schools and a further 14,000 from secondary schools have been affected by the shutdown. KPSA adds that 1,600 teachers and 1,100 non-teaching staff have lost their jobs due to the permanent closure of the private schools, with 300,000 teachers and non-teaching staff currently at home and without pay since March. The National Executive Committee of the Kenya Private Schools Association will hold a virtual meeting with all the 47 county representatives to review on the pronouncements made by Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha, with insinuation that the government does not have resources to bail out schools that are financially struggling.
We're not asking for free money. We are actually asking for money just to be put where we can borrow at affordable rates and repay it to help mitigate this factor. So we don't feel that this is an impossible task. We have seen other sectors being given some relief, some support during this pandemic.
Can they find a way of creating a fund from which private schools can borrow with a relatively easy repayment period and interest, so that they borrow from there, they will pay back, but manage to allow them maintain their facilities, maintain their workers.
There would then be no reason for most of them to close, because the parents would sit with the schools and agree that if it is 50% of the fee or 60 or 70 that we are going to pay, that should be enough to make sure that they pay the staff salaries, they maintain the schools, and just keep a small profit, which is enough during this crisis. But if you still want 70% profit, then you can go ahead and close.
Data by the association also indicates that there are 9,400 private primary schools with over 2 million pupils and over 300,000 students learning in 1,700 private secondary schools in the country. The Kenya Private Schools Association has confirmed that at least 300 more schools face imminent closure if the government does not intervene quickly. Seth Olale, NTV, Nairobi.
The coronavirus has been one of those lessons you learn in the school of hard knocks. Thrown into the figurative deep end of the pool, you either learn to swim or sink. But irrespective of the evolving situation, the constantly shifting goalposts in the education sector have done little to inspire confidence. Analysts chalk it up to a bullish approach, as Olive Burrows learns.
I also want to tell the parents that they should not be encouraged by anybody to congregate their children to learn together. The children must remain in their homes where they are safe, as you have heard from the horse's mouth, that this calamity is now in every estate.
That was the gospel, according to Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha in April. He appears to have a revised version.
We should organize ourselves in estates and villages, because teachers are all over the place. And as long as they keep the distance, they can be taught in those surroundings.
Admittedly, one statement was made when the country was in a state of lockdown on account of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the other as the economy reopens. But the shifting positions don't end there.
The second point is that I wanted to perhaps reframe what I told you earlier, which has been misconstrued as to whether schools are reopening at the beginning of next month.
Not only have parents and learners been left scratching their heads where the school reopening dates are concerned, now January for primary and secondary schools, but the question of national exams has been unclear.
I still refuse to be guided by the fearmongers.
There shall be no KCPE for the year 2020.
You know, the CS wakes up today, he says our schools will open in September. He wakes up tomorrow, he says how we'll have 2 face masks. He wakes up tomorrow, he tells us something else. Now he's telling us that we should go and ask for school fees. The kind of challenges I'm going through right now, please nipatie your refund. How many schools have ability to refund school fees? I mean, you just don't wake up and make a populist statement.
While the pandemic response has largely been played by ear, the Education Cabinet Secretary has been criticized for adopting a bullish approach. The Kenya National Union of Teachers aggrieved by their exclusion from the task force constituted to chart a way forward for the education sector.
Of course, we know that is the template of the Jubilee government. You have to be a bully to be seen to be doing something. Who makes it look like life is coming to an end? So, no, it can't work.
The COVID-19 pandemic bringing into sharper focus the underlying conditions that ail it.
So I think we also a little bit have to drop our mentality and how we have thought of delivering education, so that you don't have this system where some children are paying 2 million Kenya shillings for school fees per term in this country, and others are surviving on 470 shillings as school fees per term. No, it's not right. It is not sustainable in the long run.
Olive Burrows, NTV.
Back to taking account of where we are as a country in terms of the pandemic, and Kenya has crossed the 10,000 mark in the number of patients who have tested positive for COVID-19. 379 more people have tested positive, raising the national total to 10,105. Out of the new patients, 376 are Kenyans, while 3 are foreigners. 253 are male and 126 are female. And as we sample the county breakdown, Nairobi has recorded the highest number of new patients at 209. Kiambu has 49 and 38 in Busia. 49 people have been discharged, bringing the total number of recoveries to 2,881. A patient died today, bringing the total number of deaths to 185. Despite the numbers rising by hundreds daily, some churches, as you're about to see, have broken the law and reopened before the stipulated date. In Baringo, no less than a cabinet secretary was at a service and a fundraiser thereafter. Helen Aura reports on the growing risks and defiance of the law. I'm told by my director that that is coming in a bit. And we also have some voices from the Mwananchi, and that is specifically in Kericho. And it wouldn't be far a stretch to say that it is echoed across the country, that people believe it is not as real as the Ministry of Health would like it to be seen and to be believed. And the situation really has been found to be. And now to that case of people breaking the COVID-19 measures.
The government relaxed some of the measures put in place in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. One of them was the first phase of the reopening of places of worship, with a green light set for Tuesday, 14th of July. However, Sunday, 12th July, and some churches opened their doors for worship, with attempts to do so under the stipulated hygiene and distancing rules. In Baringo County, St. Joseph Catholic Church Kituro held a service, and despite this being against the President's directive, no less than a cabinet secretary was in attendance with a front row seat. Labour and Social Protection CS Simon Chalagui was, in some critics' word, not practicing social protection. He was not only the leader there, as the County Assembly Speaker was present.
Kanisa imesimama na serikali, serikali imesimama na kanisa. Tuendelee sababu kanisa inalea na kuwatunza kiroho.
Tulikuwa tumemii sana siku kama hii ya leo kujiunga na Wakristo wenzangu.
The little we have now is better than nothing, but we could even appreciate if we get 2, 3, 4 more services on a Sunday so that we can manage to reach more people.
The pronouncements, however, appeared contrary to the reality of the very service they were attending. The congregation was seated with chairs apart to allow for the recommended distancing. After this, the church held a fundraiser for the completion of the sanctuary. In Nairobi's Mathare area, various churches today reopened while observing social distancing. The turnout was quite low following the guidelines for 100 persons to be allowed to attend the congregation. Many say they fear the spread of the coronavirus and will stick to praying at home and streaming services online. Many other places of worship are still waiting for the 14th of July to be able to give the official statement as to whether or not they will reopen.
I call upon all Kenyans to know that God is in control of the experiences we are going through, and He is calling us at this hard time to be our brothers and sisters keepers.
Many have reiterated that the call to integrity should be tied to actions, especially by those at the pulpits and high seats in government. Helen Aura, NTV.
Let's now go to Kericho, and the government and medics have repeatedly urged people to practice social distancing, wear masks, and strictly observe hygiene so as to help slow the spread of the coronavirus disease. But for some residents in Kericho, the virus is intangible and not a reality. These views are also shared by various other people in the country, which points to the need for further sensitization.
Sijaamini kama iko hiyo ugonjwa. Jili hatujaona mtu mwenye ako nayo. Sasa tunavaa tu maski jili serikali imesema tuvae. Nikiona mwenye ako nayo, then nitajua iko. Lakini nasikia tu iko.
Mimi naogopa maisha yangu, ni Mungu tu peke yake. Hii kitu nazuia ati corona, haizui corona. Kitu naweza zuia corona ni Mungu. So niambie mimi nizuie mdomo hivi, hiyo haisaidiki.
Mimi kuvaa mask navaa tu juu ya askari. Hata hivyo sina haja ya kuvaa mask.
Hatuogopi corona juu ya mask, tunavaa mask kuchuchunga juu ya askari.
Mungu ndo anatusaidia, kama sisi ni maasla anatuelewa sana. Corona kujikinga, wewe jikinga na mkono, na jikinga na Mungu.
Hapa hivi sisi tuko saa shughuli iko saa hiyo, maneno ya social distance ya hiyo ni gani? Mimi siogopi, kama ni ya kunishika itanishika. So wacha tu ikuje ishike yenye itashika, wakwenda waende, wakubaki wabaki.
It's easy to laugh, but it's on a serious note. These are sentiments shared across the country. A 62-year-old trader who was the first confirmed case of COVID-19 in Isiolo County has sued the county government for taking pictures of him while he was sick in hospital and distributing it on social media without his permission. The businessman argues that due to that breach of privacy, he has faced immense stigma and massive losses in his business.
Osman Sharif was the first person to test positive for COVID-19 in Isiolo County. Sharif claims his personal details, which include a photo and ID number, were leaked on social media, causing him and his family emotional torture.
Nilipigwa hiyo picha ikuwa sijui, wakasambaza picha yangu kwa internet, kwa WhatsApp na kwa social media.
Sharif has now fully recovered from the disease, but says he's not living in peace.
Hata nikitembea ndani ya Isiolo, watu wote wanasema ile mzee corona ndio hii, mzee corona ndio hii. Kwa hiyo kitu linisumbua sana. Hata kulikuwa na msichana yangu amesafiri kutoka hapa tarehe 8, alikuwa anaelekea Garbatula. Alipofika Maua, aliambiwa hii ni ile family ya corona. Msichana yangu karibu kupigwa huko na kuuawa. Kwa bahati mzuri aliokolewa na rafiki yangu moja.
Sharif operates a wholesale shop in Garbatula town and also owns a number of buses that ply the Garbatula Maua route.
Gari yangu kwa mwezi moja hakuwa kifanya kazi. Watu wote wakiona wanatoroka. Gari yangu ngine anapeleka mizigo hapa Kula Mawe, ikipeleka mizigo inarudi bila kununuliwa. Hata watu ile yangu customer yangu ile mimi nauzia wa chakula kwa wanunulie chakula.
Osman Sharif has now resolved to sue the county government for the emotional distress caused by the health workers at the hospital he was admitted in. In his suit, he is demanding damages amounting to 25 million shillings from the county government.
Hata nimetayarisha wakili yangu ako Nairobi, anatayarisha kuandika barua na kutuma barua kwa county government.
Kuna makosa kubwa ilitokea hapo, vile mzee walipiga picha na nini. Hiyo ilikuwa nidhamu mbaya. Na mimi nasimama hapa kusema pole kwa familia, kwa Osman Sharif na familia yake na kila mtu yake. Mimi naomba msamaha.
Sharif has also pleaded with members of the public to desist from stigmatizing patients of COVID-19 since it is an illness like any other.
From the onset, we've been told to sanitize, and we've just seen the need for greater sensitization. It's now time to stop the stigma. I'll stop at this point and be back shortly with more from around the country.
Did you know there's a laundry bar soap that can help save you time, water, and money? Try Whitewash Extra, the 3-in-1 soap, detergent, and softener. Its unique formula provides a quick and effective wash, softens fabrics, and is gentle on your hands too. So you save by not having to use multiple products. And you only rinse once. For a laundry soap that can help save you time, water, and money, try Whitewash Extra. Brand power, helping you buy better.
iAbiri is ensuring that your travel experience is safe during these unprecedented times. Our network of over 40 bus companies has committed to maintaining highest standards of sanitation, providing water or sanitizers, checking all passengers' temperatures, and sterilizing waiting bays and buses frequently. Wear your mask and maintain social distance always, and sneeze or cough into your elbow. Book your ticket online via iAbiri and use our cashless payment options to play your part to win the COVID-19 war.
We have continued to receive reports of domestic violence. And I believe that we are in a situation where each one seems to be groping in the dark. There's a certain sense of loss. People are trying to find their feet in this new environment. Life expects responsibility from us and asks us to give the best of ourselves in the circumstances. Our following of Christ the Good Shepherd should enable us to have more compassion and concern for the vulnerable. These are the moments to mind the life of children. May the Lord give us the courage to care for each other and to be brave together, knowing that we are not alone. For the Good Shepherd, who shed his blood for us, is with us to give us an assurance of life to the full.
What makes a Kenyan dental mom powerful?
I encourage my kids to learn new things, and if they get hurt, I rely on the power of my Dettol's One Capful. To fight germs, it's like my own first aid kit.
My family needs protection from germs. I use the power of Dettol's One Capful to disinfect surfaces and clothes to keep them clean and safe from germs.
I trust the power of Dettol's One Capful for bathing. The power of Dettol's One Capful protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Dettol, Kenya's #1 antiseptic for fighting germs. Become a powerful Kenyan mom with Dettol. Be 100% sure.
Unajua kutoka tuane umekuanga na issues na mimi 24/7.
But ni ukweli wewe ndio ulikam na baggage mingi.
Ni kama wais tunaendanga shule fulani ya kuchinja wa spouse, and yet it just does not work.
Mimi sioni issue unless ni mwisho.
Okay, no, wacha mwao. Unajua mimi nikigrow budangu na madangu wakuanga pamoja for a very long time, as in like growth yangu mingi sana, so mi nimegrow na mamangu ndiye alikuanga everything, kukuja shule, kunivisit, everything.
Nigga, I'm helping you bro, brother, I got you. Darling, I'm helping you. Wakikam kuna kitenge fulani imeshonwa, wacha wakam.
She never takes anything serious.
Victory Gardens Kitengela by Optivan. This gated community is fully developed, filled with ultra-modern value additions. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Welcome back. Coptic Hospital says the allegations of a rape case in its wards is mudslinging and intends to sue those who it says are maligning its reputation. This as the family of the aggrieved spoke to NTV on the incident, which they say has partly shifted their attention from supporting the patient through her cancer treatment to ensuring her mental wellness was not affected by the assault. Charity Mwangi reports on the latest.
Being a cancer warrior battling the disease a second time is bad enough. Being sexually assaulted in a hospital while undergoing treatment is even worse. This is the feeling of a woman who was allegedly raped at Coptic Hospital in Nairobi.
On Saturday morning when she went to take a shower, she realized that she has been defiled. And she reported to the daughter. That was on Monday.
He says the victim cannot recollect what happened as she had been sedated as part of her treatment. However, there is the claim involving narcotics.
The doctor told her, "You're an addict, you're very high on cocaine." And I'm wondering if she's been trying to fight cancer for 3-4 years, how can she be using cocaine? I know my sister, she has never used cocaine, but cocaine was found in her system, and she'd been with that hospital for almost a week. Where else could it have come from?
The Coptic Hospital, through its medical director, Dr. S.R. Sakar, says that the matter was reported to the police and the management is cooperating with the investigators and has shared CCTV footage and lab samples collected to aid in investigations.
Definitely we want justice. So the perpetrator, full force of the law on that. The management for their laxity, that also we will have to look into that one. Because it's not just us. It's everybody else, everybody who goes for healthcare there, and not just that hospital. Hospitals all over in the country.
The hospital's management says that it, just like everyone else, is keen on finding out the truth and achieving justice. However, it will not give a final report until the police finish their work and the reality is shown with evidence. The medical director claims that the incident is a plot to discredit it, saying that it decided to take the necessary legal action against those who are trying to use this story to defame the hospital name with no evidence. Nairobi Women's Hospital, where the patient said she was treated at the Gender Violence Recovery Center, confirmed to NTV that they attended to a patient who fits the description. Kilimani Police also confirmed that the matter was reported and over 10 statements taken, including those of medics. The family says that the incident has greatly affected her. Outspan Hospital, which she says referred her to Coptic Hospital, says it is yet to find records to support the claim that she was a patient there. The family has requested for anonymity and for time for them to be able to support the patient on her cancer treatment journey. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
And we'll keep this story in our radar and give it the surgical treatment it deserves from either side. Our 35-year-old man is recuperating at Embu Level 5 Teaching and Referral Hospital after being shot by a police officer on Sunday morning. The police claim the man was among a group of 5 men who defied a police order, but the family says he was leaving for work. NTV's Dennis Okari with the details.
Mpiga hiyo risasi yenye unasema utampiga. Tumesema unampiga risasi. Mpiga utaniambia kutoka kwake kazi usiku ni mbaya.
This video, shot by an angry resident of Karurina village in Embu West Sub-County at the crack of dawn, displays another chapter in the deadly pattern that has become all too familiar. Police using excessive force on wananchi during this pandemic period. The officer shot the middle-aged man and area residents were not going to let him go.
Ni asubuhi niliamshwa na risasi. Nikaenda nikakuta huyo alikuwa na shoot, alikuwa mlevi. Wote walikuwa wawili na walikuwa na gari. Na hiyo gari ilikuwa private, si ati ni ya polisi. Nikamuuliza kwa nini anashuti vijana. Hakuniongeleshea, akaniambia niachane na yeye, akaendelea kuwashuti. Nikamwambia wacha kushuti vijana kwa sababu ndio viongozi wa kesho anishuti mimi.
David Kivuti Mwaneki, a barber, was allegedly shot after a confrontation with the police officers. Those who were with him say he was reversing his lorry at 4 a.m., the tail end of the curfew, and that the officer who shot him was drunk. This X-ray image shows a bullet lodged in his pelvis area.
Niliweza kumwangalia vizuri sana, nikaona sehemu zake saziri zimeharibiwa sababu zilikuwa zinatoka damu.
At the time of filing this story, David was still in the general ward, waiting for surgery, nearly 15 hours after he was admitted. The hospital says David will go to the theater for surgery on Monday morning. The bullet went through David's phone in his pocket, and it is too early to tell if it has caused any extensive damage to his body. The officers in their report say they only fired 2 bullets, but area residents collected at least 5 spent cartridges. David was left bleeding as the officers took off in this vehicle.
Nikaona nikishukua risasi atasema ni mimi nilikuwa nataka kumuua. Nikaachana naye lakini akaendelea na kushoot.
Embu West County Commander Charles Kenywa says the officer identified as Inspector Kamadhi and accused of shooting the man filed an incident report at the station which gave a different narrative.
Walienda patrol usiku saa 9 area Carolina, wakakutana na watu 6 ambaye wanasema walikuwa na crude weapons iron bar. So wakawachallenge wasimame, wale wakakataa, wakaanza kuwarushia mawe. So that is when kulingana na Inspector Kamadhi ambaye alikuwa in charge yao alipiga risasi.
The area OCPD declined to meet the family or give any statement to the media. The family wants justice and hope David will not be another statistic, as is the case with many other victims of police brutality who suffer at the hands of a trigger-happy police officer donning the crown of service to all. Dennis Okari, NTV.
And citizen journalism and what they have in their hands is taking things to another level. To David, we wish you quick recovery as you seek further treatment tomorrow. This is a story we'll follow up on. Now, the lifting of border and travel restrictions is slowly being implemented. But with it comes the risk of fanning the spread of COVID-19. Anita Nkonge tells us more on how this might be the case.
The first weekend after the lifting of travel restrictions within counties that were on lockdown has seen a lot of outbound traffic, especially from the Nairobi metropolitan area. The urge for many to get out of town evident, for instance, on the way to Murang'a town. With Kenya's COVID-19 patients now more than 10,000, the lifting of border and travel restrictions may well lead to a spike in the COVID-19 infections. And this is not stated in spite. In one of the latest incidents, Bomet County, a search was launched to contact trace all passengers from a matatu that came from Nairobi after a passenger tested positive for COVID-19. 80 members of the passenger's family have, as a result, also been put in isolation. Bomet Governor Hilary Barchok, as a result, is appealing to members of the public to be more cautious and adhere to COVID-19 measures.
If you have confirmed that you are positive, please don't travel until you are declared free of coronavirus.
In Kiambu County, there has been a significant rise in the number of COVID-19 positive cases.
We have seen this upsurge over the last few days when there has been a tendency to open the economy.
Though churches have been allowed to gradually open up, some have notified their members that they will not be having physical gatherings. Churches such as Parklands Baptist Church, Jubilee Christian Church, and Sitam have all cited their concerns over the virus and have chosen to avoid reopening.
We have looked at the situation and we have come to the conclusion that given the conditions that we find ourselves in, both the logistical and also the health factors, we are of the considered view that we should not resume our worship in our sanctuaries at this time.
The Ministry of Health continues to urge Kenyans to be wary regardless of the lifting of border and travel restrictions.
The opening of the country does not in any way suggest that we have now contained the spread of the virus, that we did not open up because we have defeated the virus. We opened up because we believe that the citizens of this nation, if they work with us and follow the rules, regulations, as we have explained from the Ministry of Health, from the county governments, from the national government, then we are ready to tackle it all together.
Anita Nkonge, NTV.
Every day you are almost certain to hear a sad story on the negative impact coronavirus has had around the country. Well, believe it or not, there is or are some positive aspects to this coronavirus pandemic. Mamo Ali found what we could consider a silver lining in Marsabit County.
it is hard to see what positive aspect has come from the coronavirus pandemic in the country and the globe. But in the remote village of Loglogo, Marsabit County, the measures to curb the spread of the disease has reportedly led to the prevention of other diseases that have brought untold pain and loss of lives over the years. Just this April, a cholera outbreak in Ileret, the death of at least 25 people and 10 others affected by the disease. Alternatives for the treatment were few and far between. The cholera outbreak was a bigger concern here and along the shores of Lake Turkana and Omo Delta in Ethiopia. The news of COVID-19 and the threat has also reached here, but the immediate danger was cholera. In hindsight, the outbreak of coronavirus disease has somewhat reduced the spread and effects of cholera based on the heightened hygiene habits of locals.
Saisi kutoka wakati watu wamesikia na natafuta usafi, sisi mmekosa nini? Sasa hiyo diarrhea hakuna. Kutoka wakati sisi ametumia hiyo masabuni, hiyo usafi, hiyo kitu hakuna. Hajawahi kuonekana kwa hii siku karibu.
A trend the health workers here have tracked and confirmed.
The prevalence of diarrhea cases during this COVID-19 period has actually reduced from over 10 cases per month to 5 as from last month. And it has actually, because of frequent hand washing, even we have not noticed any cases of cholera around or any diarrhea-related diseases.
In Loglogo, for the past 1 year, at least 403 diarrhea cases have been recorded. Among the most affected are 216 children under the age of 5. Decreasing cases of patients with diarrhea is not the only positive effect from COVID-related hygiene measures.
You know, Marsabit is more prevalent with trachoma. Those diseases are actually reduced because of the frequent washing of face and even worse, they wash their
However,
their hands.
Despite the gains that can be attributed to coronavirus-related measures, there is the threat of a resurgence of the disease, like cholera, if things get back to normal. Being a semi-arid county, water is not in plenty in Marsabit, but the common invisible enemy of the COVID-19 has brought about an outpouring of initiatives. It is common knowledge that where there is a will, there is a way. But funny how it has taken the pandemic to fix some of the persistent problems in Marsabit.
Mamo's report brings us to our next break here on NTV Weekend Edition. We'll be back with more. Ida Oringa as well has some sports. I beg that she doesn't speak about Arsenal. Stay with us.
Helen Paul.
Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I've been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains removal. Harpic's thick formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
We all are looking for products to protect ourselves from viruses, but not all products protect us. Did you know that using Dettol soap and water protects against viruses? Many viruses are surrounded by an envelope with receptors that enable them to enter a human cell and cause infection. Dettol soap destroys the outer layer of the virus and effectively removes it. Protect your family from the spread of viruses with Dettol. Dettol cleans and is now tested and proven to be effective against COVID-19 virus. This has been Medifax for Dettol.
Welcome back. Plans for the resumption of local flights in the next 3 days are in high gear, with various stakeholders seeking to cross all the T's and dot all the I's to ensure the safety of passengers, crew and airport workers. As Alex Mwangi reports, passengers will witness a different type of journey from what they are used to.
The resumption of local passenger flights on Wednesday is expected to open the valves of receipt of revenue for the aviation industry, which has borne the brunt of measures to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. It will not be business as usual.
For short-haul flights, we have reduced the need for meals. And that's not because we don't want to give meals, but just because we want to reduce the contact between people.
We have developed a very comprehensive checklist that contains more than 200 items picked from the protocol that was formulated for the aviation sector. And all those airports have been able to confirm and document their state of readiness.
It's us at KCA who suspended or gave restrictions to the airspace of Kenya. We will oversight each particular agency to see that they're doing what they're supposed to do when our airspace reopens.
Kenya Airways has endeavored to prepare its crew for the new working environment.
And our staff is well trained. They have been doing lots of call them evacuation flights or repatriation flights. So we've been using those flights to make sure that any loose ends are tied.
Tourism employs 1.5 million people directly and almost 2 million indirectly, and is set to become a major beneficiary of the resumption of flights.
So the resumption of flights will mean everything to the tourism sector, actually mean everything to the economy. Currently, tourism is dead. Unfortunately, you can't advertise health and safety. The perception of your readiness needs to be apparent. So that's the first area that the tourism industry needs to grapple with.
Domestic passengers are usually required to get to the airport an hour before their flight, while for international passengers, the lead time is 2 hours. This will need to change.
It will require that people come earlier, and that is why one of the reasons why we are suggesting to our passengers that you could do certain things earlier. For example, you might want to check in online earlier. That's going to make it much easier for you, because then it means that when you come to the airport and if you don't have luggage that you want to check in, you can walk right through.
International flights are set to resume next month. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Well, usually you're told 2 hours before a flight. You can only imagine probably even 3 to 4 hours to get to the airport before your expected flight. That's the order of business moving forward, and at least for the first few weeks. Take another break, a layover for a bit. We'll be back into the country of politics and then into the land of sports later on. Stay with us.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, Jig, and Hapik.
Explorers of the night, wale wase wa kuhustle usiku, kustreama movies, music mix diehards, and gaming fanatics. We've heard you. It is now your time to fly your flag high. Do what you love, mpaka che na Telkom. Join Usiku Sako with Telkom night bundles that allow you rule the night at prices you love. Join our tribe, Usiku Sako Squad. Just dial *544# from your Telkom line and select the night bundle of your dreams. You are the legend the night needs.
Kenya is moving to cement its position in global trade.
Pleasure. Wonderful to have us.
Negotiations of a free trade area with the United States. Initiation of a post-Brexit trade deal with the United Kingdom. And back home, solidifying its backyard through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. What is in these deals for Kenya? This Tuesday, Business Redefined explores Kenya's bilateral trade position.
Back with some politics now. In a section of Ford Kenya party leaders have asked the police to arrest armed goons who attacked the party's headquarters offices here in Nairobi earlier today and actually even yesterday. The attack left a trail of destruction as two factions in the party fight over who should be operating from the premises. Vincent Odor reports.
Chaos captured by frightened neighbors in this Kilimani neighborhood of Nairobi. Goons disturbing what should be a peaceful Sunday morning in an attempt to force their way into the Ford Kenya party headquarters. These men, seen expending their energy propelling stones into the offices, were trying to subdue another group inside the premises who stood their ground. The barrier between them bearing the code they are to live by. The party is becoming ungovernable if the state of its center of administration is anything to go by. Ford Kenya members who were at the party headquarters during the attack managed to repass the goons, and in their haste to run for their lives, some of them left their tools of trade strewn in the compound, tools that they know how to use best. Party officials allied to the Ford Kenya leader Moses Wetangula and those allied to the self-imposed leader Wafula Wamunyinyi have been fighting over which faction should have exclusive access to the party headquarters. Wetangula's faction has been operating from the offices, while the Wamunyinyi faction that has been operating from a hotel in Nairobi vowed to kick them out of the premises.
And all this is to do with an attempted coup to take over Ford Kenya Party by a section of Ford Kenya members led by Honorable Eseli and Honorable Munyinyi. And they have a lot of pressure upon them now that the coup failed.
This is a cowardice act. The court made a ruling, conservatory orders were given, and we don't see why people should come and attempt to take over the office. The days of coups are gone.
The political party's dispute tribunal had instructed the warring leaders to resolve the matter using Ford Kenya's internal dispute mechanism. The structures therein are proving paper thin and unable to hold the party together. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Well, as the Ford Kenya party headquarters was a center of a violent exchange, the leader, Moses Wetangula, was in the western region of the country. He was just one of the many leaders from the region, from 4 different factions that are trying to show who can competently take the political bull by the horns on behalf of their community. Zacchaeus Mosame reports.
Devolution CS Eugene Wamalwa and Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya have been leading a team they call Maendeleo to complete or initiate new government projects in the region. They purport to be speaking for President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga and preparing the way for the constitutional change through the Building Bridges initiative. They took their campaign to Amagoro in Teso North constituency, Busia County.
We do not want to keep lamenting, and we cannot have people who have been in government lamenting, oh, barabara hakuna.
As a community, as a region, and we are advocating for all people who live in Western Kenya to live in harmony.
But the Wetangula and Musalia-led team, which was hosted by Lugari MP Aibu Savla, accused the Wamalwa and Oparanya team of hoodwinking the Mulembe nation.
You cannot be a governor and you go around your county escorted by 3 trucks of policemen to see the people who elected you. It never happens. When that happens, you know your days are truly numbered.
If you are confident and you know you have the people with you, then why are you worried about Musalia? You can only be worried because you're not with the people. The message you are sending is not resonating with the people of Kenya.
In Mumias East constituency, the Tanga team had a dialogue approach in what they said would give the Mlembe Nation greater bargaining force.
Rafiki mmoja ambaye yuko rafiki wa kweli, naibu wa rais anaitwa William Ruto. Mzalendo ongea na yeye. Sisi watu ya Western lazima tupeleke Musalia Mudavadi. Lazima tuulizane sisi wote tuko na kura ngapi. Na kama hatuna hiyo kura ya kutosheleza hiyo kura milioni 8 plus, hizo zingine balance zinatoka.
The youthful faction led by Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala were meanwhile opposing a reported presentation of 15 names to the head of state for appointment recently.
Appointments za mkoa wa Magharibi, tukianza kuappoint watu katika serikali yoyote, iwe national government, iwe county government, kama hakuna jina ya kijana, basi we are not part of that team.
Itakuwaje wewe upatiwe nafasi 15? Mheshimiwa Rais amesema kwamba tunataka majina 15 kutoka mikoa ya Magharibi waje wapatiwe nafasi katika serikali kuu. Hauwezi hata kuonyesha hata kijana mmoja useme huyu ni youth ambaye tumeweka hapa.
Stop being wale watu ambao wanafuata watu kwa magari. Saidia, it's God. Na kuna wazee ambao wanaleta traffic jam mbele.
Zacchaeus Masame, NTV.
As far as Zacchaeus Mwasame is our correspondent in the Western region, saying the names as they should be, Wamarwa, Malala. And forget my Kizungu Mingi. It's now time for sports. Ido Ringa is just next to me to bring you the top stories, and I hope we stick to F1. Stand by.
Let your little light shine for the world to see. Let your little light shine for the world to see.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Pants is just for me. It really feels very comfy.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
Unajua kutoka tuane, umekuanga na issues na mimi 24/7.
But ni ukweli wewe ndio ulikam na baggage mingi.
Ni kama wives tunaendanga shule fulani ya kuchange our spouse, and yet it just does not work.
Mimi sioni issue unless ni mwisho.
Wacha mwao. Unajua mimi nikigrow budangu na madangu wakuanga pamoja for a very long time, as in like growth yangu mingi sana, so mimi nimegrow na mamangu ndiye alikuanga everything, kukuja shule, kunivisit, everything.
Nigga, I'm helping you bro. Brother, I got you. Darling, I'm helping you. Wakikam kuna kitenge fulani imeshonwa. Wacha wakam.
She never takes anything serious.
Victory Gardens Kitengela by Optivan. This gated community is fully developed, filled with ultra-modern value additions. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Hoping you had a fantastic weekend. Let's get into the world of sport now. As we continue coverage on the state of sports infrastructure in the North Rift region of Kenya, with focus on the Eliud Kipchoge Sports Complex last night, tonight, we turn the spotlight onto the Kipchoge Keino Stadium in Uasin Gishu and Kamarin Stadium in Elgeyo Marakwet. Steve Keter with more.
Once a buzz of sports activity, the Kipchoge Keino Stadium in Eldoret has been a shell of its former self since 2017, when rehabilitation stalled due to reported non-payment of the contractor. However, renovations have resumed following negotiations that saw the government pay 32 million shillings of pending 55 million debt. The iconic stadium, named after athletics legend Kip Keino, has produced several of Kenya's most celebrated athletes. Some of those athletes still train at the facility to date.
Ni furaha kuu sana tukiona ujenzi wa uwanja inaendelea. Inatupa tuwe na matumaini ya kwamba siku zijazo ni siku yenye manufaa kwetu, hasa sisi wakimbiaji.
The total cost of rehabilitation, estimated at over 300 million shillings, was said to cover, amongst other things, terraces with a seating capacity of between 15,000 to 25,000 people.
After completing it will be very helpful for us because there is gym in here, so that help for our strength.
About an hour from the Kipchoge Keino Stadium, renovation at the Kamarin Stadium in Elgeyo Marakwet also picks up the speed after suffering a similar fate in 2017. A year prior to that, the county government allocated 60 million shillings to the construction of a pavilion and rehabilitation of the track, a project that the national government cancelled in favor of building a modern stadium at the site.
Sioni kama wanaenda na ile speed ambayo wanasema, kwa sababu by now tuna expect kwamba hii uwanja imekuwa complete and they should be working on another track.
In June 2020, top Ministry of Sport officials toured stadium in the North Rift in a bid to give reassurance on the government commitment to complete the works by the December 2020 deadline given by the Ministry of Sport. Across the counties, renovation work seems to be picking up the pace, and it's hoped that they'll keep up that pace to fulfill the long-awaited promise that has seen the majority of Kenyan athletes suffer from neglect. Steve Keter, NTV Sport.
Thanks a lot for that, Steve Keter. World Marathon record holder Eliud Kipchoge is focused on preparations for October's London Marathon, where he will get a chance to defend his crown if the event goes on as planned. While the 40th edition of the race, originally scheduled for April 26th, was pushed back due to the COVID-19 outbreak. It's billed as a race between two of the fastest marathoners in history, Kipchoge and Ethiopia's Kenenisa Bekele.
Actually, preparations are going on well, and I trust that London Marathon will actually happen in October. I'm preparing well. I hope by next Monday, CS actually will allow us to go back to the camp, because we are actually observing the directives of the government in our camp. Secondly is that I'm looking forward to do actually and show the world that even with the COVID and with the uncertainties, then we are able to run in a good way. Let us come together as to actually what's required in this country. Kenya is a lovely country, beautiful country, and together we can actually make this country a running country and a beautiful country. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliud Kipchoge. Now, I know Mark Masai had earlier asked us to get straight to F1, but let's touch on football slightly. Crossing borders to the English Premier League, where Bournemouth currently host Leicester. Now, in the earlier game, Jose Mourinho registered victory in his first North London derby as Tottenham beat Arsenal 2-1. Alexandre Lacazette fired the Gunners ahead with just 16 minutes on the clock, but that advantage only lasted 3 minutes before Son Heung-min brought Tottenham back into the game after pouncing on an untimely error. The score was still deadlocked deep into the second half until Toby Alderweireld headed home to claim a huge 3 points for the visitors. Arsenal's European hopes now hang by a thread. In the other result, Wolves cruised to a 3-0 win over Everton, and Aston Villa beat Crystal Palace 2-0.
He doesn't really jump. Everybody else does around him, and he's kind of just got caught on his heels a little bit. You can see the Arsenal number 3 there.
Let's switch focus to the European leagues now, starting with the Serie A, where 6th-placed Napoli host AC Milan, who are a position below them, tonight in a battle for possible Europa League football next season. Meanwhile, Cristiano Ronaldo scored 2 penalties as Juventus survived a scare to move 8 points clear at the top with a 2-2 draw against Atalanta. The visitors, who controlled long periods of the game, twice went ahead in Turin. However, Ronaldo took his tally to 28 goals in 28 league games with his second penalty in the 90th minute. Second-placed Lazio had earlier fallen to a shock 2-1 home defeat to Sassuolo. Atalanta, who have scored 19 goals more than any other side in Italy's top flight this season, twice appeared on course to move up to second on the table with a 10th straight win. In Spain, Barcelona moved within a point of leaders Real Madrid at the top of the La Liga with a narrow win at Real Valladolid. Arturo Vidal scored the only goal with a low effort into the bottom left corner from Lionel Messi's pass. The Argentine, by the way, becomes the first player in La Liga history to register 20-plus goals and 20-plus assists in a single season. In select results Sunday, Eibar beat Espanyol 2-0 and Athletic Club edged Levante 2-1. Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton cruised to victory at the Styrian Grand Prix in Austria to take his first win of the season this year. The 6-time world champion was in a class of his own, never seeming in threat of ceding first position right from the start. His teammate Valtteri Bottas claimed second place, while Red Bull's Max Verstappen was third. In a collision between Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel in the first lap took both cars out to cap a disappointing outing for the Scuderia. The race had an exciting midfield battle with both racing points, putting in a strong showing.
You can scratch the Red Bull ring off that particular record because he's dominated here this weekend. A sensational pole lap yesterday, and
F1 there, Mark Masai's new favorite sport. And, you know, I was just thinking earlier on, Mark, I mean, Tottenham being your new favorite team, I know you have defected from Arsenal, so I'm sure you were very much happy with the win earlier on.
Definitely. I'm all like this tonight. Thank you very much, Ida. And just to be clear, Tottenham, I just really support and like the camaraderie between Kane and Son. I like their game, and basketball, to be honest, is still my first love. Much as I couldn't make it to the NBA, I had to settle for the news, but I love it. Thank you, Ida. Thank you to the team. Arnold, who really wants me to get out of studio and is tired of my voice. Thank you for your support, and have yourself a good night. Be safe.
This is NTV.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Pata 50% extra credo bila expiry ya kupiga na ku-SMS across networks. Piga star 444 star scratch card pin hash, na kama ni M-Pesa star 444 star 2 hash. Safaricom for you.
Unajua kutoka tuane umekuanga na issues na mimi 24/7.
But ni ukweli wewe ndio ulikam na baggage mingi.
Hey, ni kama wise tunaendanga shule fulani ya kuchange our spouse, and yet it just does not work.
Mimi sioni issue unless ni mwisho.
No, wacha mwao. Unajua mimi nikigrow budangu na madangu wakuanga pamoja for a very long time, as in like growth yangu mingi sana, so mi nimegrow na mamangu ndiye alikuanga everything, kukuja shule, kunivisit, everything.
Nigga, I'm helping you, bro. Brother, I got you. Darling, I'm helping you. Wakikam kuna kitenge fulani imeshonwa. Wacha wakam.
She never takes anything serious.
Get an 8-acre prime residential plot with soil merchants in Kisamis along Magadi Road at 148,000 Kenya shillings for cash buyers or 195,000 Kenya shillings for installment buyers. SMS plot to 21595.
Kenya is moving to cement its position in global trade.
Pleasure. Wonderful to have us.
Negotiations of a free trade area with the United States. Initiation of a post-Brexit trade deal with the United Kingdom. And back home, solidifying its backyard through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. What is in these deals for Kenya? This Tuesday, Business Redefined explores Kenya's bilateral trade position.
Unajua kutoka tuane, umekuanga na issues na mimi 24/7.
But ni ukweli wewe ndio ulikam na baggage mingi.
Hey, ni kama wais tunaendanga shule fulani ya kuchange our spouse and yet it just does not work.
Mimi sioni issue unless ni mwisho.
No, wacha mwao. Unajua mimi nikigrow budangu na madangu wakuanga pamoja for a very long time, as in like growth yangu mingi sana, so mi nimegrow na mamangu ndiye alikuanga everything, kukuja shule, kunivisit, everything.
Nigga, I'm helping you bro. Brother, I got you. Darling, I'm helping you. Wakikam kuna kitenge fulani imeshonwa. Wacha wakam.
She never takes anything serious.
Victory Gardens Kitengela by Optivan. This gated community is fully developed, filled with ultra-modern value additions. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.